It was in August, the year before last. When I saw she was going to be at that podcast, I'm like, this is in Hollywood, North Hollywood? No, it was in downtown. And so I went to the site, didn't think I would have enough money to get a ticket. I did. I scraped up and I bought the ticket. So as the days approached, getting closer to the podcast recording, I just maybe bought a shirt, some jeans, and got myself mentally ready. Because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, is this the shot where we finally get to meet, in person? Or is it going to be just like some kind of shadowy, kind of weird situation? I don't know what was going to happen. So when the day got there, I knew that I was going to be there for a few hours because I didn't have a car at this point. And so I was going to have to take the bus and the train out Howard to get there. So I went to the store and I got a pack of pita and some tabbouleh hummus. I love tabbouleh hummus. It's the best flavor that they have there. So I bought that, put it in my backpack, got on the bus. And it took a minute to get there. I had to take the orange line, I believe, and then I took the red line to MacArthur Park. And it was the weirdest thing that I've experienced on the metro so far, because when I got out of MacArthur Park, it was like, seats and tables outside of the station, and there were just these, a ramble of people, smoking cigarettes and weed and just sitting there and relaxing and socializing. So I walked past all that and I walked past the park. And I walked up the street and I saw where, I forgot the name of the venue, but I saw where it was going to be. So I sat across the street and I took out my pita and had my hummus. I probably looked weird, or maybe I fit in, but I was just dipping my pita in the hummus and waiting for the time to come. So as the hours went on, it got closer to showtime. I got into the line and I felt like the couple in front of me was looking back at me like I wasn't supposed to be there or whatever, but maybe I was just catching it off vibe or whatever. So like an hour went by, the doors open. I had talked to the man standing by the door. He was nice. We were just, chit-chatting for a little bit, but then, so they let us in and I sat in a second row from the front. And it was like a kind of cozy little venue. It wasn't huge, it wasn't small, but it was like kind of cozy venue for I guess the kind of podcast it was going to be. So as I noticed, as people started taking their seats, nobody was sitting around me, and I was listening to see if they were like talking crap or whatever, but I don't know. I noticed nobody was sitting around me, and I would have thought that people would want to be in the front row of the podcast because they're fans or whatever. But no, nobody sat around me. They all avoided me and sat on the other side of the aisles or other side of the rows, and it was very cold. I had on a t-shirt and jeans, and it was very cold inside, and I was starting to shiver, and I'm probably crazy. But so eventually the show started, and I was still freezing. I was shivering at this point, and so I was waiting for it to come on because I didn't get a program. I didn't know the procession of conversations or whatever, how the podcast was going to go. So I was sitting there and watching the podcast, and this woman was walking in the row behind me trying to get to the aisle so she could use the bathroom or whatever, and she like bumped the crap out of my head with her hip and didn't even say sorry or nothing. I'm like, what's going on with these people? So that happened, and then finally she got on, and I couldn't concentrate. I was trying to listen to every word she said and trying to pick up on any signs if there were any. She was having a good time with the host, Levitt, I believe his name is, and I was trying to concentrate, but I was getting so much bad energy from the crowd. I don't know. I think it was, paranoia or whatever, or just how it was set up. But I was just getting such bad vibes from the crowd that I couldn't really concentrate on what she was saying, and I was trying to catch on to anything I could hold on to, and so. I just remember her saying certain things. I remember her saying that she did like a hair curl behind her ear, as a sign. She was like talking about something. I don't remember. And then and it was over before I knew it. but I concentrated as best I could, but it was just so much bad vibes there. And so after she left, I'm like, what if she's like going on the street to leave? And so I was like, I got up and left, and I looked around the building to see if I could catch her, but of course she wasn't there. And I kept on going. After the podcast was over, while everybody's congregating and chit-chatting, I was just looking around to see if I could catch her somewhere, but she was nowhere to be found. But that was the only time I knowingly seen her in person, and I just wish I was in a better headspace. But it was a turning point, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, is this the shot where we finally get to meet, in person? Or is it going to be just like some kind of shadowy, kind of weird situation? Because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, is this the shot where we finally get to meet, in person? Or is it going to be just like some kind of shadowy, kind of weird situation? Because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, is this the shot where we finally get to meet, in person? Or is it going to be just like some kind of shadowy, kind of weird situation?